bring their own. Well, kids have certain things on their computers that you probably wouldn't find on a computer at a school. So they were dealing with, you know, what is allowed and what is not allowed. So it just, the kids in general I found were a little more mature, definitely more self-disciplined, organized, and ready and willing to learn.
Thanks. I think my favorite quote from a student at Sacramento New Tech when she was talking about how important New Tech's been to her, she said, "New Tech helped me find my voice." So it was, you put a lot of students in situations and let them work it out, give them coaching and guidance, you have them work in teams, and I think they do learn a lot more about themselves and who they are and what they like and what they don't like, and I think that's something that we need to do a good job at within our educational system. So lastly, before we take some more questions, we're getting ready to go, as Eric said, in the fall of 2012. And New Tech is a school within a school. It's intended to be a small school environment where people know each other well. One of the neat things in Napa was that in PE, for example, they don't have lockers. They have cubbies, and they don't lock their stuff up so the things don't get stolen. The kids know each other well, they know the staff well, and there's a great level of trust and respect on those campuses. So we start with 125 freshmen, and then we build on that every year to get the program going. And so a lot of this first year is going to be recruiting. We need to hire a director. We need to hire the teachers like Eric who are believing in project-based learning and know how to use technology. And so we need to get started on that with some money we have from developer fees and things. So Kevin Baker is our director of facilities, maintenance, operation, transportation, and everything else that we need his help with. And so Kevin's going to talk a little bit about kind of our phase-in plan for how New Tech would work out.
Okay. My charge, as Jim said, was to make sure that the facilities could get constructed in a reasonable time frame. And when he first brought it to me, the idea was great. I did attend Napa. It's a beautiful facility, sustainable, green, LEED certified. The teaching component is great, but I was there mainly and focused in on the engineering controls, how they constructed the building, and how they went about getting that facility. It's a pretty impressive facility. It's very expensive. They're in their current facility for about 12 years, I think, before they got to that level. So it's a very, very impressive facility. So my charge is to see how we can make this a little different. Jim said that we wanted to try to get this thing going by August of 2012. And I don't know how long I was out after you told me that. I woke up and started talking again. But so we kind of set, when that information gets to me, I try to set a critical path budget that we have to look at all these things and weigh them out and see if we can actually implement this and infuse it into the district. So we did come up with Diploma High School. It did lend itself to the site that's with a school within a school. It's got some components that are probably 50 to 60% there to actually accomplish that. So we've looked at some buildings that we felt, with typical design construction, you're with an architect, you're designing and developing and back and forth, and that process is about a year on its own. And then you've got to go into DSA, and you've got to get comments and structural life and fire safety and all these other things. So it's about a 15-month turnaround time, and we just don't have that luxury. So we started looking at some other buildings, and we've come up with some Gen 7 buildings that are prefabbed units. They're CHIPS and LEED certified, can be. They've got photovoltaic, high ceilings, windows, smart walls. They have a lot of the components that we can get for the kind of budget that we're starting with, because again, this is aggressive, critical path, and this type of construction would allow us to do that. So, you know, we'll continue to go down the process to see where we're going to land on a budget, the time frames, but there's some drawings up here that you guys can look at. We're going to remodel the building 90 that we currently have. So we're going to try to utilize our resources that we already have rather than spend money on something that we would just leave this vacant. The district has also hired a sustainability coordinator the last year, and we're committed to energy conservation and sustainability in our buildings. So we wanted to pick buildings that would either give us a CHIP certification or even a LEED certification because we own them, and it's going to cost money to maintain these buildings from here on out. So we want to try to get them as grid neutral as we can. So on the south side of campus, this is kind of the New Tech area that we're going to try to turn into just a campus on its own and utilize as much as we can. But build some core buildings that'll give the program a startup and a time frame. So we've got to jump out a couple years ahead of the first class so that we've got kids that can move into buildings that are already constructed after that first year. So it's a 3-phase process. We hope that the budget and the money will be there as we get started, but we're excited about it, so we'll see what happens. So if there's any questions about the buildings or components, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. So I guess the last thing I'll say is, what do we need from you? Well, we're glad that you're here today because we need all the positive support. We need students, so I'm glad that you guys are here. So we're targeting 7th people who are actually going into 8th grade, and we need you to consider going to New Tech High. I think it'd be a great learning environment for you. Businesses, we need all kinds of support. We need internships, we need job shadows. A big part of New Tech is giving kids that practical business work experience. So coming up with problems that you can lend us so we can have kids help solve. Some students, as Eric was mentioning, do all different kinds of projects, whether it's Creek studies, whether it's one of our classes at Tacoma High now has to do with website design. So working with businesses and helping, and kids are actually said, hey, we need you to help create a website for our business. Those kind of things is what we're looking for with partnerships. But obviously we need some money. If you can fork that over, that would be really, really helpful. But we just need a lot of parents to kind of start talking about it and letting us know your ideas, your questions, what are some areas that we maybe haven't thought about. But we're really excited about having these two kind of 21st century ideas moving forward. We're actually asking a lot of our schools to look at what's a theme that they might want to look at. So Grover Beach kind of has been the first one off the plate, but Branch is looking at kind of scientific inquiry-based approach. Shell Beach is looking at a visual and performing arts kind of magnet. So different schools are looking at different ways that they can help our kids develop 21st century skills. But we're excited about where we're going, and we think that's going to give our kids a competitive advantage, and we need all the help we can get. So any questions or? Yes?
Are students outside the CMR district able to attend?
We hope to allow some kids outside to attend. Napa actually has a certain number of slots that they reserve for kids outside the district, and that brings in some money to the district. So probably balance between, we want to make sure that most of our kids here can attend, but if we can bring in 20 or 25 kids from the outside, that's basically $5,000 per kid coming into the district, and we're a declining enrollment district. So we'll probably check with the board to see if we can reserve a certain number of slots for students outside the district. Yes.
Kids that are participating, do they have access to the normal activities that other students would have access to?
That's a great question. Yeah.
Transportation and the food.
We've seen different schools that we visited. Some are on sites and some are kind of self-contained. One of the problems with the self-contained is that they had to go back to their home high school to participate in band or sports or things. And one of the reasons we wanted to put it on a high school campus was so they'd have that access. So maybe they want to take band first thing in the morning, or they want to be on the basketball team or the volleyball team. So that's where it's on the Tacoma High campus, so they can participate in those activities.
Would the hours match similar to that school schedule, so they
We'll
don't have
try to,
transportation issues?
We will try to match those hours. Sometimes new techs have a different calendar schedule because, as Don mentioned, they're really encouraged to take 12 units from the community college. Probably in Tacoma, we'd have them go with Hancock. So a lot of them start a little earlier in August and finish a little bit earlier so that they're on that same community college schedule, but we try to make it so that they can participate in both those. That's a good question. Yeah, Brandon?
Can I ask a question about the IB program?
Sure.
You said you're going to do lottery for New Tech. Will the IB program be similar? Can other students transfer into that school, or is it just going to be Grover Beach Elementary students for now?
Well, I think for right now, it would probably just be limited to the Grover Beach students until we get up and running.
Yeah.
Then we would hope we would have a waiting list of people wanting to come in.
Other questions? Jim?
Is the long-range goal to have all the students, or will this always be just a select? I mean, it might get bigger, but will all the students eventually be involved?
Yeah, well, I guess there's a couple things about that. I mean, the first one is that we're interested in programs that are replicable. And one of the nice things about New Tech is it's really project-based learning is what is its core. And we've been doing a lot of project-based learning training already. And one of the neat things about Napa New Tech is that their teachers become experts in project-based learning. So when they hire new teachers, their existing teachers train the new teachers for a week before they come in on how to use project-based learning methodologies. They also have a neat partnership with Sonoma State, where Sonoma State's teachers that are studying teachers come and work there for 2 weeks during the summer, and they pay Napa Unified School District to train those teachers. So we're hoping that project-based learning gets going throughout the whole district, and those teachers can be an expert in that. Because we're not just interested in small pilot programs that only 200 or 300 kids hit. Both with IB, with an inquiry-based curriculum, we're hoping that those